Do these 5 things to buy your first BRRRR deal in the next 30 days. My name is Sam and I own 4 different real estate investing companies. And I own a $42 million rental portfolio that I've bought without using any of my own money. Specifically, I bought over 150 single family rentals with the method and the tools and tricks that I'm gonna give you in this video. What I'm gonna do in this video is go over the BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and scale, and show you how I have used that over the past several years and changed it and tweaked it and perfected it so that you can now implement it and you can create wealth and buy rental property without using any of your own money in an efficient and effective manner. No one wants to stub their toe and inefficiently create wealth. Step 1 is buying your first rental property, and finding the actual deal isn't really that hard. There are a lot of distressed properties out there in pretty much every market that you can find, and you can buy it and turn it into a great rental property. The issue and the hang up that a lot of people come across is, how do I fund the deal so I don't use any of my own money? We'll get into some funding sources now, and then on the refinance step, I'll talk about the funding source there, which is small local banks. The main funding source that I have used, and I've raised over $50 million with this funding source, is private money lenders. Private money lenders are people, working professionals, a friend of a friend, or an acquaintance you know that has a little bit of extra money. They're probably in their 40s or 50s, maybe 60s. They've worked for a while at a normal job. They've invested in their 401k or IRA and have some savings and some money in the stock market and mutual funds and all the things, but they're at the point in their life, or they made a connection with you at the right time, where they're willing to invest a little bit of that, a diversification play, into you and real estate. There are a ton of people out there like this. If you don't think you know somebody, then you're wrong, because you know somebody, or somebody you know knows somebody. You have to start to get yourself out there, talk about real estate investing on social media, at parties, in person, at work, all of those places. And eventually, the more you talk about it and the more you say you're looking to find somebody that you can partner with on deals, or that can fund deals for a great return, eventually you will find somebody. If you want more details on how to find private money lenders, I have a video up here that goes in a ton of detail on exactly how to find them and what to say to them when you find them. Another source before I move on to the next step would be hard money lenders. Now, these are super easy to find. All you have to do is Google hard money lenders near me, or go on your local real estate investing Facebook group and ask who the local hard money lenders. These are super easy to find. These are companies and businesses that want to be found by new real estate investors. They're companies that want to grow and lend more money, and they understand that there is a shortage of easy to find money in this short-term funding space. So that's why they're there. So they want to be found. You just have to go out and find them by putting a little bit of work in. Now, they're not quite as easy to work with private money lenders, but there are some benefits. They're a second set of eyes. They're going to know the market a little bit more than a private money lender probably will. So there are some benefits, and the great thing and what you should strive for is actually a little bit of both. We mainly use private money lenders. Occasionally we'll use hard money lenders, but a lot of the times we use hard money lenders, we use private money lenders to pay for the rehab step, which is the next step. So you can kind of intertwine the two if need be. Step 2 is the rehab step. This is taking that distressed property and fixing it up without using any of your own money. Now, this step is really important for a lot of reasons. So let's talk about that, and then I'm going to fuck you, Dakota. Let's talk about that, and then I'm going to give you some tips to rehab or understand how to rehab better. Rehabbing your property is super important for a ton of reasons. One of the reasons would be having a nice property is going to attract better tenants that pay higher rent. Obviously, after you rehab the property, you're going to have a mortgage on it, so putting more money into it and rehabbing it a little bit extra is going to cost you a little bit more in the long run, but it's actually going to save you even more than that in the long run, because you're going to get amazing tenants that have their choices of properties because they're looking around, they got great credit scores, they have great income. They're going to pick a house that is nicely, freshly rehabbed. So that's why you want to put a nice finishes on these rental properties and go a little bit further than most people go in the rental properties. So you're going to get better tenants. They're probably going to stay longer, because the most expensive part about owning rental properties is when the tenant moves out. So the longer a tenant stays, the more money you make and the happier they are. And then also, there's a lot less maintenance on a property that you just freshly rehabbed. If you bought a property and didn't touch it, or bought a property that's, kind of dated and, hasn't been updated recently, there's going to be issues. The water heater is going to go out. There's going to be, a crack in the drywall that needs to be repaired. There's going to be a toe kick that's peeling up. Things like that aren't the end of the world, but do cost you money to go out and repair. They have to come out of your pocket. Do all of that in this rehab stage so that when you get to the refinance stage, you can recoup it all back. That'll make more sense in a minute once I get to the refinance step in a couple steps, but just making your property nice is going to get a higher appraisal, so you'll be able to pull more money out and recoup all your money, and then also all the things I just talked about. I have this really nice calculator that I put together that I used to only give to my students, but now I'm giving it to everybody. And part of this calculator is a rehab section that will actually help you figure out how much your rehab is going to cost. It breaks down everything in the house, traditional costs, of course you got to fill in your own number there, but it breaks it all down including holding costs, and will really help you figure out how much your rehab is going to cost, even if it's your first rehab. So if you would like access to that, it's free. Just check out the description below. Step 3 is actually the most important step, yet most people spend the least amount of time on it. Step 3 is getting a tenant in the property. Now you want to make sure that you get a great tenant in the property. I think that hopefully goes without saying. So let's talk about how to find that great tenant, and let's also talk about why finding a tenant is important. The main reason it's important is because the bank's going to want to see the property rented. The next step we're going to talk about, I know I keep talking about these small local banks, but they're not going to fund your deal and give you money to pay back your initial lender unless the property is an income producing asset. So you need to get that income by collecting rent. They don't want to lend on properties that are distressed or not lived in. So you've taken care of the distress part. Now you need to get it lived in and bringing in income. A good tenant stays longer, and they pay rent on time, and they take care of the things that they're supposed to take care of, and they communicate with you via the proper channels. If you set the expectation up front and take that extra time to approve a very qualified tenant and communicate everything properly, it's not really that hard. I have over 260 tenants, and I do have a team that manages them for me, but we don't have calls every single night, every single day with issues. Of course, those things do come up, but you set yourself up for success by spending some extra time getting people that want to live in your properties, don't have to live in your properties. So sitting here trying to record a video, and my wife's sending me $20 million houses on the beach. This is $18 million, dream home. I mean, babe, we've done all right, but we haven't made that. That'll get your mind distracted as you're trying to record a video. The fourth step is probably the most important. Now, I may have said that on the third step, they're all pretty important, but maybe this is just the most confusing step, is I guess a better way to say it, because this is the refinance step. Now, hopefully by the end of this 2 or 3 minute spiel I'm about to go on, you'll understand it a little bit better. It may take a little bit more time than that. So I do have a video up here where the whole video is focused on this refinance method. This refinance method is important because it allows you to never use any of your own money and cash flow. What do I mean by that? I mean, it allows you to take money from the bank and get a loan on the property, a long-term loan, and take that money and pay back your initial private money lender or hard money lender that you borrowed money from in the first 2 steps. So the small local bank will take your rented, fixed up property. Remember, I said both of those things. So you take your property to them, and they will do up to an 80% cash out refinance, meaning they will give you a loan, a check, for 80% of the appraised value. So if you have a property that you bought and you fixed up and you have $150,000 in the property and it appraises for $200,000, they will literally cut you a check for $160,000. Take the $160,000 check and you pay back your initial lender their $150, or your initial lenders their $150 plus interest. You have 10 grand extra to pay them back their interest. That should cover all of it, and you should even be able to keep some if you want. However, at that point, you do owe the bank that $160,000 or that 80%, but you owe them that in the form of a mortgage that you're paying off over the next 20, 25, 30 years, however long the mortgage is for. So that's a very small monthly payment compared to what you were paying the private lender or hard money lender. So that allows the rent to pay the mortgage plus all owning expenses. So you use the first 2 steps to buy a property without using any of your own money and get it rent ready, and you're using this step to own the property long term without using any of your own money. So the bank pays back the initial lender and the renter pays back the bank. So you're just moving other people's money around. The whole time while you're doing that, you get to own the assets. You get the tax benefits of the asset. You get the equity growth of the asset. You also get a little bit of cash flow along the way, but I wouldn't bank too much on that, because properties that you buy like this that I've done, you're not going to cash flow $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. Those are out there, putting 30-40% down on something big, an apartment complex, or maybe even a short-term rental. But what I'm talking about is buying a single family rental in a good working class area. You're not going to get a ton of cash flow doing it that way if you want to do it without using any of your own money. And the last step, and my favorite step, have I said that too? But anyways, the last step is the scale step. It used to be called the repeat step, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. But after I did this several times and after I taught it to people, the repeat wasn't quite what I wanted. I wanted something that was a little more teeth sink inable. I don't think that's a word, but you get what I'm saying. I want something that you can actually go out and implement. Repeat means just go back and do what you did. But scale means doing something bigger, better, faster, stronger. And pretty much everybody that I've talked to in my 1,000 students, they all want to scale and create financial freedom. You're not going to do that with one property. You can create wealth in long term with one property or more wealth, or you can create a lot of wealth in just a handful of properties. But assuming you want to scale and buy 10, 15, 20, or 30 and change your life and your family's lives for generations to come, you need to learn how to scale. I'm going to give you a resource here in a minute to really understand the width and breadth of the scale method, but let's go over quickly what it stands for. So if you want to scale, you have to use this, what is the word? Acronym. The BRRRR is an acronym, so I made scale an acronym. S stands for systems. Again, just a high level here, but you have to create systems around each step of the BRRRR method if you want to scale. Systems around buying houses, system around rehabbing houses, you get it. The C stands for coaching. Now, I would suggest paying for a coach. I don't know one wealthy person, not one, that has not paid for some type of coach, whether it be a life coach, a mentorship, a mastermind, marriage coach, whatever it is. Paying to be around an expert and to learn their knowledge so you can shorten your learning curve is how people create wealth. We were literally just talking about Alex Hormozi. I think he said if he made $75,000 a year, he would spend $75,000 a year on coaching and being better and using other people's knowledge to make him smarter. So you can do it for free on all my social medias. For sure, it can help, but getting some type of mentorship, more on that later, can help you grow that a lot faster. The A stands for action. This is the fun step. This means going out and having the rubber meet the road and going out and doing it and screwing up and failing and winning and screwing up again and winning even more. You're only going to learn so much by watching my videos or watching other people's videos or being in a coaching mentorship. You have to go out and take action and learn on the fly. I would say you can learn 75% on the fly and only 25% by watching and sitting on the sidelines. So go out there, make mistakes, win, fail, take action. It's the fun part. L stands for lead flow. If you want to buy more houses, you need more leads on distressed houses coming across your pipeline. So what you need to do is network with the right people, spend more time and energy on that, maybe do a little bit of marketing, whatever that looks like. You need to increase your lead flow. Now, of course, I have steps to do that, but just know that it's a numbers game. If you want to buy 10 houses this year, I promise you that you can. However, you're probably going to need at least maybe 75 or 100 leads. So you have to increase the lead flow if you want the bottom of the funnel to increase. The last step, E, stands for extra funding. Now, I didn't just write E for extra funding so it could spell the word scale. I didn't put F in there for funding because you need extra funding. If you use a private money lender and a small local bank for this first deal, then guess what? You need multiple private money lenders, multiple hard money lenders, and multiple small local banks along the way so that you can do more deals and never let money be an issue. So just one in each step is not going to allow you to scale. You need that extra funding so you can scale. Creating wealth is really not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. You can for sure do it on your own, or you can try to do it on your own, but I do have a mentorship that I mentioned earlier. Now I have over 1,000 students in the mentorship from all over the country, and many of them are creating a lot of wealth quickly by buying rental properties and taking me and my team's knowledge and information and one-on-one handhold coaching to the next level so that they can do things a lot faster. If that interests you at all, just check out the description below. There is a free training link that allows you to check out a little bit more, learn a little bit more, and then schedule a call with my team. If not, no big deal. Just hopefully you enjoyed this. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. Check out the like button over there. If you have not hit that yet and are still watching, please hit that. And also check out my Faster Freedom podcast called The Faster Freedom Show. See you on the next one.